is it really possible to take what is a $10 digital product sold on a marketplace like Etsy and turn that into a $100 digital product, or even a $100 per month recurring revenue offer using that initial $10 template as your starting point? That's what we're going to look at in this video. And to explain why I'm doing this, I need to take you back to when I used to sell on Etsy. I made close to 1,000 sales of digital products on Etsy, but I left with a frustration because I was putting a lot of work into creating new products. It got harder and harder to show up in search, and then people started copying my bestsellers and undercutting me on price, and that's the point at which I left Etsy and moved on to my own website. But I continued to sell low-ticket digital products, and although I sold many, I discovered that you really need such a large volume of customers in order to make this business model work, that I decided I wanted to focus on creating a more signature offer so I can focus on marketing one thing all the time. So I'm spending my time on marketing rather than creating new digital products. So I decided in this video to share with you how you can take a $10 digital product that's sold on the likes of Etsy and turn that into an offer that's worth a lot more money and target someone who can afford to pay you. So for this, I'm going to use Notion AI to walk through a process of working things out, because I find that if I try to do this on my own, I get stuck in my own head and I might overlook some ideas. So I'll jump in and out of Notion AI as we go to show you how all these pieces come together in the process. So just before we jump into the full process and why the steps are important, I did create a free blueprint. It's a Google Doc, which kind of essentially goes through the main steps of this process, and you can leave notes below each section. So that's a free download, and you can get the link in the description below. First up, let's take a look at this example that I've picked to use for this process. So I've just gone on to Etsy and I've picked a random template. I am going for a template that solves a problem as opposed to digital art. This process won't work so well for digital art because this is about creating an offer that's more for solving a problem. Doesn't need to be for businesses, although in this case I have chosen a business example, but it does have to solve a problem. So I picked a set of 80 editable Canva templates specifically designed for hairstylists. So I'm going to use that as my starting point to go through this process. So this is like, you see lots of different Canva sets on Etsy, especially Instagram templates. I'm impressed that they've gone as far as targeting hairstylists, but I think you can take this further, but we'll get into that as we go through the process. So the first step of my process is to clarify the target client. So you might think we've already got that covered with hairstylist, but we can go a lot deeper than that. So I used Notion AI to help me with this. And let me just open that up. So I got lots of different ideas for hairstylists who can afford to pay me. So I got the likes of established hair salon owners, and within that there were several subcategories of multi-tier salons and luxury or high-end salons. Independent hairstylists was a separate subcategory. So we've got people who rent a booth within a hair salon. And then independent specialists, so things like colour, extensions and bridal. There were a few other suggestions as well, like beauty businesses. What else was there? But the one I decided to go with was bridal, to focus in on bridal. Now you could pick any of those. It doesn't really matter. I would say pick one that resonates with you and your kind of experience and your backstory and what you already know about. But the reason you want to go deeper than just hairstylists is the more specific you are, the easier it's going to be to build yourself up as a specialist, to create an offer that's really targeted to that person. It means you can go a lot deeper in your messaging, and it makes the whole process from here on out a lot easier. It also actually makes your product worth more because people see you as a specialist. So if you're a bridal hairstylist, you're much more likely to pay a higher price, like $100 a month, for some kind of subscription for Instagram marketing as a hairstylist, as from someone who targets specifically bridal hairstylists, than you are just someone who targets hairstylists. So don't be afraid to go really specific. So the next step is to do a deep dive into who that client is. So you want to go dig a bit deeper into their financial background and what makes them able to pay. Is it because they're charging a certain amount of money in this instance? Is it because they're already established and so they've got a regular income coming in, but they need to build up their marketing so they've got a consistent stream of clients? So you want to understand all that. You want to understand also their current situation and their challenges so that you can really speak to that when you're creating your offer, but also in your marketing and sales content. You want to know what their key desires are. What is it they're going to be wanting out of your service? What is it they're wanting to achieve? In this instance, with bridal hairstylists, what are they wanting to achieve in their business? And then you want to know how to communicate with them. What language do they use? What things are they worried about? What things are they excited about? And really kind of get to grips with that. So I use Notion AI to go a bit deeper on all of this for me. So for my hairstylist, Notion AI has told me that they've got the ability to pay me because they charge at least $100 for their service. I would say they probably charge a lot more than that, actually. They understand the value of using something like Instagram for marketing, and their current situation and challenges is, like everybody else, not having enough time or maybe knowledge to do a good job. So you're wanting to get that balance of having someone do it for you, but it not being costing you a fortune. It's the same for most business owners, I guess. So also you want to know what their key desires are. So for this, I've got they want to legitimize their business with professional looking content. They need to save time while maintaining a strong social media presence. And I think that's the key one, really. And the desire to grow their Instagram with eye-catching, elegant content. I'd say need to save time while maintaining a strong social media presence is the one I would really latch onto. But I would test out various different angles. So then we've got some suggestions of how to communicate with them from Notion AI. So we've got emphasize how your templates help them maintain an elegant and professional brand image. Focus on time-saving aspects. They can quickly customize templates rather than creating posts from scratch, and highlight the unlimited downloads and lifetime access, showing the long-term value. Stress how easily they can personalize templates with their own photos and branding. So this is just going off of that initial set of templates at this current time. So AI is suggesting how I can sell this existing set of templates to a premium client who can afford to pay. But we're going to take it a step further than that Next up, I want to turn my existing set of templates into a more premium offer. So I want to add on things that really up the value, but that are still around the same sort of theme, helping the same person with their Instagram marketing. So there are lots of different ways I can do this, but a great starting point is to use AI to help me to brainstorm. So I've done that with Notion AI, and I have some suggestions, like to create a bridal specialist collection, include dedicated templates of before and after wedding transformations, add specific layouts for bridal trials and consultations, design templates for showcasing intricate updo details, offer premium support and training, include video tutorials on template customization, provide monthly template refresh updates, add one-on-one template setup consultation, expand the package contents, so include Instagram story templates for behind the scenes, add seasonal wedding theme variations, create matching Pinterest templates for wider reach, add business growth resources, include caption templates specifically for bridal posts, provide hashtag strategy guide for wedding hair. I'm not sure hashtags are still a thing on Instagram, and add content calendar template for wedding season. So this was just some of the suggestions that AI gave me. Now you're going to pick, or I'm going to pick, what works for my lifestyle. So I'm not going to include one-on-one calls. I try to avoid them because most of my audience is in the US and I live in the UK, and evenings are not a good time for me to go on calls. So I just try to avoid calls where possible. So what I've picked out of all those suggestions is to do quarterly feed template drops, because I think monthly is actually a bit overwhelming for the business owner. A done for you monthly content calendar, monthly caption templates, and monthly Instagram story ideas, along with a support community, which would be probably asynchronous. Can't speak. Asynchronous in my case because of the call situation. Now, what was I going to say? The reason it's going to be much easier to create things like a content calendar and caption templates is because I did that early work with the ideal client to really get really specific with my target client. So it's not just hairstylists, it's bridal hairstylists. And that means that the captions and the content calendar are going to be super targeted for my end user as well. So it's going to be much more valuable to them, almost like having a social media manager for them. So now that we've kind of decided the pieces that we want in our more premium offer, we can look at our product positioning. So this is kind of joining the dots between who our ideal customer is and what they need, and what we've decided we're going to include, the features we're going to include in our offer. Now this can take a long time to clarify in your mind when you're doing it on your own, and this is why AI is so great, because it can really speed up the process and join those dots for you. So, and the positioning statement, this is going to really help you almost do an elevator pitch. If someone asks you, oh, what do? You can say, it's almost like saying what you do, but it's saying what your product does. So it's going to help you to answer that question. So we'll go through kind of what this looks like now with my example. And so Notion AI has broken this out for me into a few sections. We were looking at our ideal customer profile, which we kind of already went through in the first step. Then why this offer helps them, and then some specific examples for messaging, and then a positioning statement. So we'll go through this now. So our ideal customer profile we already know is independent bridal hairstylists who charge premium rates of over $100 per service. They have an established client base and revenue stream. That's important, so they can afford to pay me. And they understand the importance of professional marketing. Why this offer helps them. It saves valuable time by eliminating the need to create social media posts from scratch. It helps legitimize their business with professionally designed content. It provides unlimited access to customizable templates that can showcase their work. It allows easy integration of their own before and after photos and branding, and includes quarterly template updates and monthly content calendars for consistent posting. So some specific messaging examples are: transform your wedding day transformations into stunning social content in minutes, showcase your bridal portfolio with elegant professional designs, maintain a luxury social presence without spending hours on design, I would say, or thinking or strategy, because this is more strategy than just design, and then build your bridal styling empire with done-for-you social media templates. Now, these are just some messaging examples because I have a process where I go into messaging in a lot more detail further on once everything to do with the offer is finalised. But this is just a kind of taster for going through this process. And then the positioning statement that AI has come up with for me at this stage is professional Instagram templates designed exclusively for premium bridal hairstylists who want to elevate their social media presence without sacrificing time with clients. So that kind of just helps me to clarify exactly what I'm doing and who I'm speaking to, which is so important when you're offering something premium and you want to charge a little bit more money. Now, next up, we're moving on to my favorite tool. To really kind of elevate our offer and to help us to sell our offer, to deliver our offer, to market our offer, it helps with kind of all the stages. It's a really good idea to develop your own framework. Now, I had a kind of framework for my own offer, which is called the Signature Shift Studio, and it consisted of 4 sections which all began with the letter F. So I kind of built out this system in Notion, and it was split out into factory, get this in the right order, foundations, factory, fuel, and feedback. And I put all this into Notion AI, and I said, can you develop a framework for me based on this process that is an acronym which kind of speaks to what the outcome is that my offer provides, like what this offer does, so that people can tell from the framework what my offer does. So I used Notion AI to do that for my own business, and it came up with the Lever framework because what you're doing is leveraging an existing product and leveraging it into something bigger. You're pulling that lever to make it from a small template into a much larger, more premium offer. And Notion AI is what helped me to do that. And so I built this tool into my system to help other people do that. So the reason a framework is useful, as I say, is you can use it to market yourself. You can talk through your framework in your marketing and say, this is the process we go through when we go through the offer. It helps you to structure your curriculum because you can build it out into that framework. And yeah, it just helps with, and it helps you become known for something. People will get to know your framework. Anyway, so with our bridal example, here's what Notion AI came up with for me. Now, it didn't come up with this for me the very first time. I can't remember what it came up with the first time now. I think it was something really basic like hair. I can't, but eventually it came up with a framework called, I went back, I gave it feedback, I said, this is too vague. Can you come up with something that's more specific to exactly what this offer does? That it's for a bridal hairstylist and it's about Instagram marketing. So it came back with a framework called Shine. So I'll take you through what that is just now. So the S in Shine is showcase your speciality. So that's document and create your best bridal transformations. Highlight, H is for highlight client stories. So share the journey from consultation to final look. Inspire your audience. Is inspire your audience, which is create mood boards and trend updates for future brides. N is nurture relationships, meaning engage with followers and build your bridal community. And E is educate and empower, which is share your expertise through tips and behind the scenes content. So this is a strategy for bridal hairstylists to use when marketing themselves on Instagram. And this can be used in this person's content for marketing themselves, and they can walk through that framework in a piece of content. They can then hone in on specific pieces of that framework in different pieces of content, but it's structuring the way that this person delivers stuff with the set of templates and the content calendar. It can follow this framework so that there's some structure to the way things are delivered, and so that users can get to know how to expect things each time they get a new content drop, if that makes sense. So a framework can really elevate the perception of how valuable your offer is and how much you know what you're talking about. But it can be really hard to come up with a framework on your own. And so I think it's amazing how AI can just really help us to come up with a clever acronym and process that makes sense. And you can already have your own process and ask AI to turn your process into a framework with an acronym like this. So next up, we can come up with an offer outline. So we've kind of already done our kind of product, but now that we have our framework, we can get into a bit more detail about that. So just everything that's included in our offer, taking into account our new framework. So AI's done that for me again. So we've got our collections organised by our Shine method or Shine framework. Monthly support package, which includes things like content calendars and caption templates, everything following that Shine framework. And then the community as well. So we've just got AI listing everything out that we're including. So that can keep us right when we're actually creating our offer. And then on to the one that we all get in our heads about, and that is pricing. So I use AI to help me. So I have 3 prompts in my system to help me depending on what I'm trying to achieve. I have a prompt that just asks AI to tell me, based on everything you know about my offer so far, what do you think the value of it is, keeping in mind who the ideal client is. Then I have another prompt which is almost the same, but it's saying I'm going to be using this offer as my main revenue generator in my business. And then I have a third option, which is if I want to use this offer as a no-brainer purchase, what should I price it at to make it just like, wow, I can't believe this is such a low price. Maybe it's to get people onto my email list, but to get buyers on my email list, or maybe I just want to run my business where I'm making my offers no-brainer. So I've got those three options depending on what I'm wanting to achieve. And so I used just the value one for this example, and Notion AI suggested pricing structure. Well, it split it out into annual, quarterly and monthly pricing, because this is essentially a membership that we've come up with. So the annual plan is suggesting I charge $997 a year. For the quarterly plan, it's suggesting $297 a quarter, and for the monthly plan, it's suggesting $127 a month. But I thought $100 a month seemed fair enough. And you can just use this as a starting guide for deciding on your pricing, but it's useful to kind of get an external perspective on what your pricing should be, because I know this is something so many people struggle with. But you can see that going through this process and elevating that initial product and just getting a bit more specific and adding some value to it takes something that we maybe sell sporadically a few times. I think actually when I did my research for this specific example, I might have a plugin which shows me how many sales have been made, and when I was looking, it had made 7 sales in that month, so that's $70 they'd brought in before you account for Etsy fees. And I don't know if they were running ads, they possibly were. Most people seem to run ads these days, so you would have to take off money from that for ads as well. So this is obviously, you just need one sale to make more than what the product made on Etsy for a month. So it's just a different way of looking at your offers, and it's how I am looking at my own business going forward, because I'm just sick of chasing small sales here and there all the time and having such a sporadic income myself. If you want my free Google Doc, which is almost like a checklist of all the main points from this video, it's free. You can sign up for it. The link's in the description, and you can also see a link to the actual system that I use to do all this in Notion, and you can find out more about that. Links in the description as well.